Okay, for dumping.
All right, so in this video, we're going to show you how to dump the black tank. So the first thing is you make sure you have gloves on because you're going to be dealing with some dirty stuff. Have a hose dedicated to the black tank. We use a black 0G hose just to make it easy to identify. And you're going to hook up the hose. This site is nice because it actually has two separate spigots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can just hook up one, but if you don't, then you just have to unhook this right here.
Disconnect and put it in, right?
And just connect the black hose. So we're gonna connect this to the water source.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, and then turn on the water. Make sure there's no leak right here, which we don't see. Good.
And rinse out the hose a little bit.
Rinse out the hose a little
Always
bit.
nice.
For a few seconds. Okay, turn it off. Okay. Now we're going to connect this black water hose to, there's a separate connection here. I labeled it black tank so it's easy to remember. So make sure you don't connect this to your freshwater area. And here, we're just going to connect this hose. Just simply screw it on here. So the whole point of this is that this water will fill directly into the black tank. So while you're flushing, you can flush out the black tank with some water as well. Instead of just having what's in there drain, you're flushing it out
With water.
Well.
To help clean it and get all the chunks out.
Yeah. So after you hook that up, you're going to turn this on. The water on.
Do the valves have to be, you know?
So I turn this on first over here.
Okay.
Just make sure it's working. And then shortly after that, right after you turn that on, okay?
So, wait, my question is, these valves over here, is there any specific
You don't do anything
number?
with these
So it does not matter, so don't worry about that.
No. Yeah, this has nothing to do with the drainage system down here, okay?
Okay.
So here, now we're going to open up the black tank right here.
Okay.
And this is gonna release it. Now look over here. Look over here. Okay, so now you can see that this is the black water
Green
tank.
alien colors.
This is green because we treated it with some pods in there that help.
And those are blue.
Yeah, disinfect the or break up any feces or.
I was being shy about showing people our green.
Yeah. And the pods we use are actually green on this one.
Okay. All right. Anyways.
Yeah. So now this is just flushing through, and you just kind of wait until you see it clear up over here. So make sure the water's clear and then it starts to slow down. You know, you usually take about 2 or 3 minutes for the tank to completely drain. I think it's about 30 gallons of water for this tank, or maybe 35 gallons. So let's take a little bit of time. Just be patient with it.
So when you're leaving the RV park
Mm-hmm.
and you're disconnecting everything, how much time should we allot to do all of this, including flushing the black tank, the gray, the hoses and everything?
Yeah, I personally take about at least 45 minutes, maybe an hour to give myself time to flush it. So this is just the initial flush itself. It won't get out everything from the black tank. There's still going to be some on the bottom. So the best way to do it is after you completely flush it out the first time, what we're going to do is we're going to close that valve and let it fill and let this black hose basically fill up the black tank with just water, and then we're going to drain it again, re-empty it again, and most of the time there's still going to be some sediment still present at that time. So I usually do that at least once, maybe twice, depending on what I see coming out. But the most you want to fill up the black tank is 5 minutes. So don't do more than 5 minutes. And that should fill up about 2/3 the black tank, and then you can release it. If you leave it on for too long, it will start coming out the back end and start flooding the RV. So if you're going to do this, make sure you do no more than 5 minutes each time. All right. So here, this is probably all drained out. Now this water is probably just the water that's coming in, right, from the hose itself. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close this valve here. I'm closing this valve here. And you should see no more water coming out here. This should slow down to nothing. Okay, so because what we're doing right now is we're filling the black tank with water, and we're gonna once again put a timer on. So I'm gonna set my timer for 5 minutes right now. And once 5 minutes is over, I will, oh sorry, this is the back part of my thumb where it's clean here, and I'm just gonna do for 5 minutes right here.
Okay. All right. And so while it's filling up, do we empty the gray?
No, you don't empty the gray until you're completely done emptying the black. So we're gonna empty the first dump for the black, and then we're gonna fill it up, and then we're gonna dump it again. And depending on you, if you want to do that twice, you can, but do it at least once. And then after that, we're gonna dump the gray to really clean out the hose, because it's all dirty black water at the end of the day. So we want to make sure that we do the gray at the very end after we're completely done with the black tank.
And there is no flushing the gray or anything. You just empty the gray.
Yeah,
right?
There's no flushing the gray. There's no connection that goes to the gray tank, unfortunately. And yeah,
But,
so you just, whatever's in the gray is what you dump.
but that should be okay, because it should just be soapy water. Grease and food should not be going down the kitchen sink, for example.
Yeah,
We want to put all that in the trash can.
exactly. Yeah, we have strainers in the kitchen sink too, to make sure there's no food that goes through, because that can really clog up the system as well. So yeah, we'll do that at the very end after all this.
Okay.
So while you're waiting for the black tank to fill, and well, like we said, 5 minutes is about the time frame you want to do. Just to make sure that you're not overfilling it, another thing you can do to be safe is going over here, and you can probably push this, you have clean hands,
I'll
and
do
checking
it.
the water level of the black tank.
So here we have battery fresh, black, and gray. So here we can see that the black tank is at 1/3 and the gray is at 1/3.
Yeah, so we want to fill it up to about 2/3 for the black before you dump it, just to make sure you have as much water as you can put in there before dumping.
Okay.
Yeah, so now that's 5 minutes in, with water going into the black tank, you're gonna keep the hose running, the black hose running, okay? Keep it flushing, and then now we're gonna dump, and you're gonna look at the elbow again. I'm gonna open the valve. You can hear it dumping. And here, you can see more of the, you see how it's still not completely clear, despite flushing it once. So that's why it's really important to do this at least once. You see still some sediment coming out as well over there. And if you have time, I would do this, I personally do it at least twice, just to make sure, but especially on your last dump before returning as well. And then after you're done with this, you can just make sure to turn off the black hose after this turns completely clear. The elbow turns completely clear and the water turns clear. And then you can just repackage everything and put it back, okay? Alright, so we just filled it for another 5 minutes in the black water tank. We're gonna do it, this is gonna be the second time we filled it up. And now I'm going to, once again, leave the water running into the black tank. Open the valve, and we're gonna look over here. And you can see, and you can still see there's a little bit of sediment still. This is our third flush actually, but the second time we filled up the black tank. So, but 2 times should be good enough. So to finish up the black tank dumping process, we're gonna turn off the hose here. So now there's gonna be no more water going into the black tank, and you're gonna make sure that this stops completely. There's no more water coming out of the black tank. And while you're waiting for that, we're gonna disconnect this water source here. Make sure you have gloves on. Okay. I'm just disconnecting from the black water tank. Some water might come out, right? It's just residual water from the hose itself.
That's okay.
Shouldn't be dirty water though. Okay, and then we're going to bring it back. And then do our hose here. All right, and then we're just gonna put this back in the box.
Do we try to empty out the water in the hose first, right?
You can empty out the water in the hose. Do that. You can just kind of, as you're twisting it, you can see here water should be coming out the other end of the hose right there to empty it. And it's always nice to cap it like this on each other so
Doesn't make a mess in the
it
box.
doesn't make a mess in the box in storage. Here's the box here, black tank hose. I'm gonna go ahead and put this away. Should be able to fit in this. Here. And when you come back here now, you see it's not draining anymore. All right.
So once we close the black tank, right?
All right. So now we're gonna close the black tank. So the black tank is completely closed over here. Now we want to flush out this sewer hose. We're gonna open up the gray tank. All right. So this is all that soapy water here. We're gonna open that up, and this should really clean out that sewer hose. You see, it's mainly
Clearish water.
clear soapy water, which is perfect. And that's going to really clean out that hose for us.
And once that's empty, we don't need to flush it. Again, we just close it and we should be done and clean up.
Yep. So once this is completely empty, there's no more water coming through, we're going to close that gray valve. I'll show you that in a little bit. And start putting away all of the sewer and water supply.
Great.
While you're emptying the gray tank, make sure that there's no more water coming through. It's still trickling a little bit here, but that's okay. The gray tank does take a little bit more time to drain than the black tank, so just let it fully finish.
The gray tank is bigger than the black tank too.
Yes, it is. So after you think the gray tank is completely empty, we're going to close the gray tank valve here. And now you just need to disconnect the sewer system, cap it up and put it into the bumper and repackage everything.